Hey guys, Mark Ferrasci, Protect Dog Training. I got up this morning, did my normal routine, took care of my dogs and working the dogs, and took a new convert, Mr. Thor. Thor is a 6-month-old Shepherd mix. He's got Shepherd and Husky in him, I think. Nice little puppy. He's pet quality, meaning he's loved by his family and they love him, but he's not really been bred for anything particular as far as being a higher echelon dog like I would have with my Malinois and all that, which is no harm, no foul, don't get me wrong. Dogs can work. If they've been worked and do the right things, they can be developed and you'd be a surprise. 6 months of age, you don't know what's going to happen with this dog. If you put the energy into it, I've seen it many times. You get a kid with a dog or somebody that has a lot of energy and love for their animal, and they put that energy into the training and they produce a product that you'd be amazed by, right? So, off breeds and mixed breeds, there's a lot of quality in that because the love that goes into them that their owners have for them, right? So, give me a second here, guys. I'm trying to make sure that I handle a highway patrol that's coming. Actually, that's not highway patrol, that's a cop. So in a nutshell, that's the way it is. So what I wanted to talk about, what I talked about on that video, it ended up not having the sound come through. So I had like a 10-20 minute video with a lot of points of view and things I was talking about that didn't come through. And I still want to kind of accent those points, right? Because it's something I'm going through right now. I mean, I just took dogs home and then I brought dogs in. So I'm up to about 4 to 5 dogs. Stella, you see the puppy. I've got Red that's going to go home in another week or so. I've got Pim, the special pandemic lockdown dog, that high developed dog. Genetically wise, he was a hell of a dog when he was first brought over, and the owner just didn't get behind it. The pandemic hit. Everybody's dealing with that, so he is what he is. So I've got all these different dogs. So it reminds me of the old days when I used to work for a training firm in the Bay Area and having a lot of enthusiasm and love for what I was doing. That was my first real job working for a kennel. I worked my way up to about 10 dogs a month that I could handle in different phases of training. So it's just the way it is. So now this kind of reminds me of that. So now I've got to change my mental outlook on things and change my schedule around and make sure that I can meet the load of handling that many dogs. Okay, it's not just dog training. It's about taking care of the kennels, animal husbandry, answering the phones, all the things that you have to do to run a business every day, right? And if you don't, or you're not able to stay on top of all of it, you're going to end up letting certain things go, you know? If I didn't take care of the dogs that well, my animal husbandry slipped, I can start getting dogs that are sick. Then if I have a dog that's sick, I've got to nurse him back to health and do what I need to do to get him back on his feet. That's an art in itself, animal husbandry, right? Knowing what to do and how to get a dog back on his feet. Let's say if they got Giardia or anything, right? I need to know what medication to medicate with, what I need to do for the animal, and then put him in the right environment that's going to help and be conducive to his getting better, right? If you don't do the right thing, I kind of look at it as a green thumb. I used to do a lot of plants when I was a kid. That being the case, I felt really positive about having a green thumb, being a good gardener. Some people don't have a green thumb and they don't have that ability. So these are some of the things you need to learn as a professional trainer, because today's day and age with this instant gratification that's going on, the kids coming out and poof, they're hanging up a shingle and not even having a clue what it really takes to run a professional dog training business. It's sad because what it happens is they end up doing that and they're learning on the dime of the customer, right? They're learning on the customer's dime, and all along the way, they're tripping, they're falling, they're making mistakes. They don't have a friggin' clue. And just because they go out and they do a 3-day seminar catching dogs and they get certified to be a PSA decoy, poof, I'm a dog trainer. And that's that instant gratification. They don't have a clue. Or they get online, is another example, and they start taking all these online courses, and they think that that makes them a qualified dog trainer because they pass these courses and they put these little monikers behind their name, right? They're the farthest from being a professional trainer. The best way to do it, if you really were wanting to be truly a professional and get respect from your colleagues and your peers, go out and go through a school like Michael Ellis' school. Go out and go through Tom Rose's school. Be certified in that regards, where you're actually eating, breathing, sleeping dogs for a month or so, getting your certification, and that you're a lot better in tune with what it's going to take to be a professional. Come out of that with that certificate, and do not hang up a shingle at that point. Go out and get a job for someone that's looking for qualified help, like Justin Rigby just put out an application for, actually it was Leo Derbalov just put out a little blurb looking for a qualified apprentice and somebody that wanted to learn how to train dogs. He didn't put it that way, he put exactly what he wanted, but that's the offering that you want. Now you go get yourself a place to live, do whatever you got to do, and go eat, breathe, and sleep dogs with somebody like that knows their thing, and pay your dues. Spend a couple years. Get your dogs under your belt is what I like to say. In other words, really with the guidance and the help like that, with somebody like that around you, and learn to be able to work your way up to a level that you can handle a certain amount of that load, right? It's not just training one dog, guys. It's a matter that now that I've got 4 or 5 dogs coming in, I used to be able to do up to 10 dogs at a time, right? That was what I knew in my heart that I could handle, right? Then I was working for another training firm, and that's what I was also at the beginning. I was assigned 1 or 2 dogs. My boss started to see I could handle those 1 or 2 dogs, and he slipped me another one. Before I knew it, I looked back over the time I'd been there, and I'd been up to 10 dogs a month, right? I was required to be able to handle those dogs, and be able to rotate them into my training rotation to a point where I was producing product, that I had a quality product that was turned back to the customer. And then the training firm as a whole would have lessons. We had group lessons. We had privates when they first came and picked the dog up. All this that you did to support what your training firm produces and turns out for their customer, right? That's what it's all about, right? So now I'm up to 5 dogs, and now the weather's starting to change. So instead of cool weather, I now have hot weather. So now it's into another pattern. And the pattern is, in a nutshell, something that we're aware of, is that we now have to get up early in the morning, about 6 o'clock, and get everything done, and then get into training your dogs before it gets too warm. Because it's starting to heat up by about 10 o'clock up here in the high desert. Right? About 10:30, it's already warm. So I could probably go to 11, and that would be it. 10:30, depending on how hot it is. Right now it's only in the high 80s. It's going to get in the 90s and the 100s, right? I won't be able to work in the middle of the day because the dog's going to be wiped out with heat, and his feet are getting burned on the sand. And so you work early in the morning, and you go out and train your dogs, and then you work in the evening when it starts to cool off. That's just a fact of what you got to do. Then you also have to handle the load of, if you've got a lot of dogs in your facility, handle the load, right? So these kids go out and they hang a shingle up and they go poof down a trainer without having any clue what it really means to be a professional trainer. And it irritates me. I do these videos because I try to educate, I try to teach. I've got 30 some odd plus years in the industry. I've been there, done that. I've worked for many training firms up and down the California coast, was hanging around Caesar with his whole pack of dogs. I mean, I've been there, I've done that, so I understand it. So, but mentally, I've got to get myself, that's where my head's at. You know, I'm always trying to tell you daily, what do I have to deal with? Well, that's where my head's at right now. I'm looking at these dogs and I'm saying, okay, I've got to get all these dogs turned out, and I've got to stay on top of it to make sure that I turn out the product. Otherwise, my product goes to hell in a handbasket, and I'm not doing my job, and I turn the dog back into the customer without really giving them and fulfilling the goal of having a well-trained dog when they get the dog back, right? Then who is at fault for that? Me, because I wasn't able to manage it. And it's a disservice to my customer, okay? That's what I'm trying to get across. And when a kid goes out there and just says, poof, I'm a dog trainer, and hangs up a shingle, it hurts, it galls me, because I really feel that our industry is hurt by this. And there's not many trainers that stop and actually take the effort to stop and say these things. And I'm hoping that every now and then I'll get on these little tangents, right? And I'm doing it for a reason, because at my age, that's all I've got left, to be able to do what I love to do, yes, and to be able to handle my own business, but at the same time, with all this yakking I do on the screen, to try to pass on some of my knowledge to the younger generation, to make them realize that the only thing they're doing a disservice is, one, to themselves, because then they'll be failing. They won't be really producing a product for the customer that the customer deserves, and they're learning the craft and their dog training on the back of the dog trainer, on the back of the customer, on the customer's dime, right? Customer's paying for something that he needs, and you're giving him a half-assed product, and you're not really fulfilling the obligation that you have as a professional dog trainer, because you really don't understand really what it takes to handle that full load. And you will trip, you will fall, you will fail, and you're turning a half-assed product back into that customer. Whether you like to admit it or not, that's exactly what's going to happen to you if you don't do it the way that I'm talking about, which is, instead of instant gratification and thinking you know everything, watching TikTok videos online, and you think you're all that and then some, you hang out a shingle and you go, poof, I'm a dog trainer. The only thing you're hurting is yourself, the customer, and the industry's image as a whole, right? And it happens all the time. It's everywhere. I see it all the time. I see trainers, probably 1 to 3, maybe even up to 5 trainers a year go through this. Well, I call them trainers loosely. They're not really trainers. They're wannabes, right? And they come into the industry, and before you know it, they're out of business. Because it also has to take managing your business, pricing yourself correctly, all the things that are required in business. So let me tell you how I would do it. If I wanted my kid, and he's my kid, and I'm trying to get him to go towards dog training, first I want to motivate him. Then I want to kind of teach him if I'm a professional dog trainer. I want to get him to have that passion, that love for the trade. And if I see that, I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that he does it right. I won't just say, poof, you're a dog trainer. I might help him pay for a school, and I'd send him to Micah Ellis, and I'd make him go through that school, and it would be the best one that they could do, because Micah's got a lot of different tiers, right? But I would give him the one that would be the most. He'd have to live on the site, and he would have to pay his dues, and he'd have to earn it. Then he would come back, and I'd say, go find a job. I wouldn't want him working with me and my firm, right? No way. He's got to earn it and get somebody else's respect. I already know what I got to deal with. I got to deal with him every day of the week, or her every day of the week, and kick their ass, and they don't have any respect for me. I'm their parent. Well, hopefully they have a certain amount of respect, but you get my point. The mental attitude is going to be different, right? They've got to go out, and they've got to pay their dues and apprentice under somebody else that I respect, and I try to line it up for them. I'm doing that favor. But they would have to prove themselves, getting to work on time, doing what they need to do, fulfill a load. In other words, how many dogs have they got assigned? They would have to earn it, right? And once they earned it, then I would say, okay, this person really wants to be a dog trainer, and they've earned it, right? And then I might let them come back with me in my business, right? Then I'd have an asset, because they'd be all over it, right? There's a method to my madness. There's a reason that I say these things. These are the things that our industry is having happen again and again and again and again. And in that respect, the only one you're doing a disservice to is yourself, one, the customer, secondly, because that's who you really owe everything, is the customer. And third, you're doing a disservice to the profession as a whole and the image that you're putting out to the public about professional dog trainers and what that means to be one, right? So, personal opinion, I will come back to this subject every now and then, and I will beat you up on it, because I really feel in my heart that that's the only thing I have to give is my knowledge, my expertise, and my opinions that are based on experience. I've been here, I've done that for 30 some odd plus years, right? So, enough said. I thank you very much, and I'll come back to this and touch on it now and then, but there's my challenge right now. I've got to meet this new load and make sure I get all these dogs worked every day, and that they're getting worked enough to make sure that we fulfill the needs of the customer that I'm servicing, right? All right, that's it. Mark Ferrasci, ProTech Dog Training, signing off. Don't be a poof the trainer. Go out and do it the right way.